The space around Earth was quiet. Stars shone like tiny diamonds against the black sky. Far out, near the edge of the solar system, something changed. The darkness began to ripple. Jake Morrison sat in his chair at the Deep Space Monitoring Station. He was drinking his third cup of coffee when the screens in front of him started flashing red. Numbers rolled across the display faster than he could read them. Energy readings spiked higher than anything he had ever seen. "What the hell?" Jake muttered. He rubbed his eyes and looked again. The readings were still there. Something big was coming out of hyperspace. Jake grabbed his radio and called his supervisor. "Control, this is Morrison. We have massive energy signatures appearing at grid 77 Alpha. Something's coming through." The voice on the radio crackled back. "Morrison, run the diagnostic again. Those readings are impossible." "Already?" "Ran it twice, sir. This is real. We have unknown contacts emerging from hyperspace. Lots of them." Jake's hands moved quickly over his keyboard. The computer was trying to count the new objects, but the numbers kept changing. First 50, then 200, then more, much more. On his main screen, Jake watched as ship after ship appeared in the dark space. They were huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built. Their hulls were dark metal that seemed to absorb light. Strange symbols glowed along there, sides and colors that hurt to look at. The lead ship was massive. It was easily 10 times larger than Earth's biggest space station. Smaller ships formed around it like a deadly cloud. Jake counted over 500 vessels before he stopped trying. "Jesus Christ," he whispered. "Control, you need to see this. We have a full invasion fleet." Within minutes, Jake's small station was buzzing with activity. Admiral Susan Blake arrived by emergency transport, her uniform still wrinkled from sleep. She was followed by Dr. Lisa Grant, who carried a tablet filled with data about alien technology. "Show me what we're dealing with," Admiral Blake said. Jake pointed to the main screen. "They appeared 30 minutes ago. My computer says there are over 500 ships. A big one in the center is their command ship." Dr. Grant studied the images. She had spent years studying theoretical alien technology, but seeing it in person was different. Their energy signatures match plasma-based weapons, standard deflector shields. "This is exactly what we expected." "Expected?" Jake asked. "Admiral." Blake looked at him. "Son, we've been preparing for this day for a long time. Alert NORAD and the Global Defense Council. Tell them Code Red Alpha is now active." Jake sent the message that would change everything. Across Earth, secret facilities began powering up. Men and women in hidden bunkers started their final preparations. The day humanity had trained for was finally here. On the alien command ship, Admiral Krickstahl stood on his bridge. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. His uniform was covered in medals from 100 conquered worlds. To him, this was just another routine invasion. "Status report," he commanded. His second officer, a younger alien with similar features, checked his instruments. "All ships in position, Admiral. The target world shows primitive technology, basic satellites, and simple space stations. They have no deep space defense network." Admiral Krickstahl nodded. "As expected. Their scouts reported this world was barely past chemical rockets. This will be over quickly." The bridge crew worked efficiently. They had done this many times before. The pattern was always the same. Show overwhelming force, demand surrender, then occupy the planet. Most worlds gave up without a fight. "Begin standard approach," Admiral Krickstahl ordered. "Move the fleet to attack formation. Prepare the surrender demand." Back on Earth, Jake watched the alien ships begin to move. They formed a wide arc around the planet, positioning themselves for orbital bombardment. It looked like a textbook. Invasion formation. They're taking position, Jake reported. Looks like they're getting ready to attack. Admiral Blake smiled slightly. Good. Let them get comfortable. Dr. Grant, are you reading their communication frequencies? Dr. Grant nodded, her fingers flying over her tablet. Their signals are basic quantum entanglement communication. Nothing we can't handle. I'm also detecting their shield frequencies and weapon signatures. Everything matches our projections. Jake was confused. Ma'am, shouldn't we be scared? There are 500 alien warships out there. Morrison, Admiral Blake said. What do you know? About human military technology? Just what I see on the news, I guess. Rockets, jets, nuclear weapons. That's what we want everyone to think. The truth is very different. We've been ready for this day for decades. On her tablet, Dr. Grant showed Jake images of weapons he had never seen. Quantum disruptor cannons that could tear apart atoms. Antimatter warheads small enough to hide in satellites. Gravitational weapons that could crush steel like paper. The aliens developed predictable technology, Dr. Grant explained. Plasma weapons, energy shields, faster than light travel. We went a different direction. We focused on quantum physics and exotic matter. Jake stared at the images. You mean we're more advanced than they are? In some ways, yes. They focused on big ships and lots of firepower. We focused on making better weapons that work in ways they won't expect. Admiral Blake looked back at the screen showing the alien fleet. They think they're about to conquer a primitive world. They have no idea what they're really facing. The alien ships continued their approach. On each vessel, crews prepared for what they thought would be an easy victory. Weapons charged. Up, shields activated. Marines got ready to land on the planet's surface. Admiral Kriegstall stood confidently on his bridge. In a few hours, this world would be another trophy for the Empire. The humans would surrender, and his ships would return home with news of another successful conquest. But deep in space, hidden systems were already watching. On the moon, massive guns were turning toward the alien fleet. Around Earth, cloaked ships were powering up weapons that could destroy matter at the quantum level. The aliens thought they were the hunters. They had no idea they were about to become the prey. Jake Morrison looked at the screen one more time. The alien ships looked so powerful and frightening. But for the first time since they appeared, he wasn't afraid. Humanity had a surprise waiting for them. The real battle was about to begin. Admiral Kriegstall stood in front of the massive communication array on his bridge. The message he was about to send had worked on hundreds of worlds. It was simple and direct. Surrender or die. Open a channel to the planet, he commanded. The communication. Officer, a thin alien with pale blue skin, worked at his console. Channel open, Admiral. Broadcasting on all frequencies. Kriegstall cleared his throat and began the standard conquest message. Primitive beings of the third planet. I am Admiral Kriegstall of the Zephyrian Imperial Fleet. Your world has been selected for incorporation into our empire. You have one rotation of your sun to surrender completely. If you resist, we will destroy your cities and take your world by force. This is your only warning. The message was transmitted across space in seconds. It reached Earth's communication satellites and was immediately picked up by every government on the planet. In the White House, President Helen Carter was awakened by her security chief. She had been expecting this call ever since the alien fleet appeared. She dressed quickly and walked to the Situation Room, where the most important people in the world were waiting. How long do we have? She asked as she sat down. General Ryan Cross, a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes, looked at his watch. 23 hours and 42 minutes, Madam President. They're using standard Imperial conquest protocols. President Carter looked. around the room. These people had been preparing for this moment their entire careers. Gentlemen, ladies, this is what we trained for. Are all systems ready? Yes, ma'am, General Cross replied. All defense platforms are online. The lunar facilities are at full power. Our cloaked ships are in position. Dr. Lisa Grant leaned forward. Madam President, I've analyzed their message. They're using basic quantum communication. Their ship. Formations are textbook invasion tactics. They have no idea what they're facing. Good, President Carter said. Let's keep it that way. How long before they realize we're not what they expected? If everything goes according to plan, they'll never know until it's too late, General Cross answered. On the moon, Captain Amy Foster was making final preparations. Her ship, which looked like a simple cargo vessel, was actually one of 12 cloaked dreadnoughts. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a small planet. Status report, she said to her crew. Her weapons officer, Lieutenant Dan Miller, checked his instruments. Quantum disruptors at full charge. Antimatter torpedoes loaded. Gravitational wave generators ready. Excellent. Remember, we stay hidden until the Admiral gives the order. When we decloak, we need to move fast. In the hidden facility beneath Mount Rushmore, Dr. Matt Thompson was coordinating the Global Defense Network. His computers were connected to every weapon platform in the solar system. From his chair, he could control enough firepower to destroy the alien fleet 10 times over. Communication check, he said into his headset. All stations report. Voices came back from around the solar system. Moon Base Alpha ready. Mars Station ready. Asteroid Belt Mining Platform ready. Each location was actually a heavily armed military base disguised as something peaceful. Lieutenant Colonel Steve Parker was on the real Mars Station, which the aliens thought was just a research facility. In reality, it housed the most powerful railguns humans had ever built. They could fire projectiles at 30% of light speed. Targeting solutions calculated, he reported. We have firing solutions on all alien ships. Waiting for your order. Back on Earth, Admiral Susan Blake was in the main command center. She could see everything from her position. The alien fleet was moving slowly toward Earth, confident and relaxed. They had no idea that hundreds of weapons were already aimed at them. Status report from all stations, she ordered. Lunar railguns ready, came the first response. Cloaked. Fleet ready. Antimatter satellites ready. Quantum disruptor network ready. Admiral Blake smiled. Maintain positions. Let them come closer. On the alien command ship, Admiral Crickstall was growing impatient. The humans hadn't responded to his message. This was unusual. Most worlds sent some kind of reply, even if it was just begging for mercy. Any response from the planet? He asked. No, Admiral. Complete radio silence. Crickstall thought about this. Perhaps they're too primitive to understand the message. Or maybe they're so scared they can't respond. His tactical officer, a large alien with red skin and 4 arms, studied the display. The planet shows no military buildup, no ships launching, no weapons platforms activating. They appear to be completely helpless. Good, Crickstall said. Begin the approach. Standard formation. We'll show them our power before we give them a chance to surrender again. The alien fleet began moving toward Earth. 500 ships formed. A perfect attack formation. They moved slowly, wanting the humans to see their overwhelming power dot in the command center. President Carter watched the aliens approach. How much closer do we let them get? Wait until they're past the asteroid. Belt, Admiral Blake replied. Once they're in the gravity well, they can't escape quickly. Dr. Grant was watching her instruments carefully. Their shields are at minimal power. They're not expecting any resistance. This is perfect. On the moon, Captain Foster was getting excited. Her crew had trained for this moment for years. They had practiced the attack pattern hundreds of times. All ships, this is Foster. Stay calm. Wait for the signal. The 12 cloaked ships were spread around Earth's orbit. Each one was invisible to the alien sensors. The enemy had no idea they were there. Dr. Thompson was monitoring the quantum communication network. Every human weapon in the solar system was connected. When the attack began, they would all fire at exactly the same moment. Network synchronization complete, he reported. All weapons will fire within 1 millisecond of each other. Lieutenant. Colonel Parker was making final adjustments to his railguns. The projectiles were made of tungsten and titanium, materials that could punch through almost anything. At the speed they would be traveling, they would hit like nuclear bombs. Railguns charged and ready, he reported. We have clear firing solutions on the enemy command ship. Admiral Blake was watching the tactical display. The alien ships were getting closer. Soon they would be in the perfect position. All stations prepare for Operation Hammerfall. Final weapons check. Reports came back from around the solar system. Every weapon was ready. Every system was working perfectly. The aliens were walking into the most deadly trap in human history. The alien command ship, Admiral Krickstall, was feeling confident. The human world was getting larger on his screen. Soon his ships would be in orbit, and the real conquest would begin. Prepare for orbital bombardment, he ordered. Target their major cities. We'll give them one more chance to surrender before we destroy them. His weapons officer began charging the plasma cannons. The alien ships prepared to attack what they thought was a defenseless world. But hidden in the darkness of space, humanity was ready. The trap was set. The aliens were almost in position. In a few more minutes, they would learn that Earth was not as helpless as they thought. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and the aliens had no idea they were already defeated. Admiral Krickstall looked at the blue planet growing larger on his screen. It was beautiful, with white clouds and brown continents. He had conquered many worlds, but this one looked especially peaceful. That would make the victory even sweeter. Distance. To target? He asked. Entering the outer gravity well now, Admiral. Will be an optimal bombardment position in 2 hours. Krickstall nodded with satisfaction. The humans still hadn't responded to his message. They were probably too scared to think clearly. Or maybe they were hoping the aliens would just go away. Spread the fleet in standard invasion formation, he ordered. I want every ship in position for orbital bombardment. Show these primitives the power of the Empire. The 500 alien ships moved into a wide arc around Earth. Each captain knew his job. They had done this many times before. The smaller ships would target military installations. The larger ships would destroy cities. The command ship would coordinate everything. In the command center beneath Washington, Admiral Blake was watching. Every move. The aliens were positioning themselves exactly where she wanted them. They were following their standard tactics perfectly. They're taking the bait, she said quietly. All ships maintain radio silence. Let them think we're helpless. President Carter was standing next to her, watching the tactical display. How long until they're in position? 1 hour and 57 minutes, Admiral Blake replied. They're moving slowly because they think there's no threat. That's perfect for us. Dr. Grant was analyzing the alien formations. They're using the same attack pattern from the Rigel system. Same formations, same ship spacing. They never change their tactics. That's their weakness, Admiral Blake said. They've been so successful that they've become predictable. We know exactly what they're going to do. On the moon, Captain Foster was watching the alien fleet through her ship's sensors. Her vessel was completely invisible to their scanners. The cloaking technology was based on quantum field manipulation, something the aliens had never developed. "They're coming right at us," she said to her crew. "Look at them. They think they're so powerful." Her weapons officer, Lieutenant Dan Miller, was excited. "Captain, our quantum disruptors are fully charged. We can take out 50 ships with our first volley." "Patience, Dan. We wait for the signal. When we attack, we need to hit them all at once. No survivors." The cloaked ships were spread throughout Earth's orbital space. Each one was a masterpiece of human engineering. They combined the best of human technology with weapons that could manipulate matter at the quantum level. Deep in space, the asteroid belt mining platforms were preparing for battle. To the aliens, it looked like simple mining equipment. In reality, they were massive weapons platforms with enough firepower to destroy a planet. Lieutenant Colonel Steve Parker was making final adjustments to his railguns on Mars. The projectiles were loaded and ready. Each one was a solid tungsten rod that would hit the alien ships at impossible speeds. "Targeting computer locked on the command ship," he reported. "First shot will take out their admiral. Second shot will destroy their communications." Dr. Thompson was coordinating everything from his hidden facility. His quantum communication network allowed all human forces to work together perfectly. When the attack began, every weapon would fire at exactly the same moment. "Final synchronization check," he announced. "All stations report readiness." The responses came back immediately. "Moon base ready. Mars station ready. Cloaked fleet ready. Antimatter satellites ready." Every human weapon in the solar system was prepared for battle. Admiral Blake was watching the countdown timer. 1 hour and 30 minutes until optimal firing position. "All stations, prepare for final attack sequence." On the alien command ship, Admiral Krickstow was feeling very confident. His ships were in perfect position. The human world was completely quiet. There were no military ships launching. No weapons platforms activating, nothing at all. "They're not even trying to defend themselves," he said to his tactical officer. "This is going to be the easiest conquest in Imperial history." His communications officer looked confused. "Admiral, I'm still not detecting any military transmissions from the planet. No emergency broadcasts. No evacuation orders. Nothing." "They're probably too primitive to coordinate a defense," Krickstow replied. "Or maybe they're so scared they can't function. Either way, this makes our job easier." The alien weapons officer was charging the plasma cannons. "All ships report ready for orbital bombardment. We can begin firing on your command." "Excellent. In 1 hour, we'll give them one final chance to surrender. If they don't respond, we'll destroy their major cities. Then we'll land troops and take control." What Admiral Krickstow didn't know was that his every word was being monitored. Human listening posts were recording every alien communication. Dr. Grant was translating their language in real time. "They're planning to start bombardment in 1 hour," she reported. "They still think we're helpless." "Perfect," Admiral Blake said. "Let them get comfortable. The closer they are, the more devastating our attack will be." President Carter was amazed by the preparation. "How long have we been planning this?" "Since the 1950s, General Cross replied. "We've been developing advanced weapons and hiding them from the world. Everyone thinks our military uses conventional technology. They have no idea what we're really capable of." On the moon, Captain, Foster was conducting final weapons checks. Her ship's quantum disruptors could literally erase matter from existence. The antimatter torpedoes could destroy entire city blocks. The gravitational wave generators could crush steel like paper. "All weapon systems green," Lieutenant Miller reported. "We're ready to show these aliens what human engineering can do." The 12 cloaked ships were positioned perfectly. Each one was aimed at a different section of the alien fleet. When they attacked, they would hit from all directions at once, Dr. Thompson was watching his countdown timer. 30 minutes to optimal firing position. All stations begin final preparations. Lieutenant Colonel Parker was loading the final tungsten projectiles into his railguns. Each one was perfectly machined and designed to penetrate alien shields. At the speed they would be traveling, nothing could stop them. Mars Station ready for railgun bombardment, he reported. We'll punch holes right through their command ship. Admiral Blake was studying the tactical display one final time. The alien ships were spread out perfectly. They were confident and relaxed. They had no idea that hundreds of weapons were aimed at them. All stations, this is Admiral Blake. In 25 minutes, we will show these invaders what happens when you threaten Earth. Remember your training. Remember your duty. Today, humanity takes its place among the stars. The alien fleet continued its slow approach to Earth. Admiral Krickstow was already planning his victory speech. His ship captains were discussing how to divide the spoils of Voyage. Conquest. None of them noticed the small energy signatures that were beginning to appear on their sensors. Admiral, the sensor officer said, I'm detecting some unusual readings near the planet. What kind of readings? I'm not sure. They're very faint. Probably just solar interference. Krickstow wasn't worried. Ignore it. Focus on the bombardment targets. But those faint readings were human weapons powering up. The trap was almost ready. In just a few more minutes, the aliens would learn that Earth was not the helpless world they expected. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and it would be over before the aliens knew what hit them. Admiral Krickstow stood on his bridge, watching Earth grow larger on the main screen. His fleet was now deep in the planet's gravity well. Perfect position for orbital bombardment. He had conquered 47 worlds using this exact same formation. All ships in position, Admiral, his tactical officer reported. Ready for final bombardment on your command. Excellent. Open a channel to the planet. Give them one last chance to surrender. The communications officer nodded. Channel open, Admiral. Krickstow stepped forward and spoke into the transmitter. Humans of Earth, this is your final warning. You have ignored our previous message. Surrender now, or we will destroy your cities. One by one. You have 10 minutes to respond. In the command center, Admiral Blake heard the message. She looked at President Carter and smiled. 10 minutes. That's perfect timing. All stations, this is Admiral Blake. The enemy is now in optimal position. Begin final attack sequence. Operation Hammer Fall is now active. Around the solar system, humans began their final preparations. On the moon, Captain Foster was watching. Her tactical display. The alien ships were spread out in a perfect arc. They couldn't have positioned themselves better for her attack. All weapons charged and ready, Lieutenant Miller reported. Quantum disruptors at full power. Antimatter torpedoes loaded. Gravitational wave generators online. Remember, Captain, Foster said to her crew, we decloak and fire in one synchronized attack. No warnings, no mercy. These aliens came here to destroy our home. The 12 cloaked ships were positioned throughout Earth's orbit. Each one was a masterpiece of human engineering. They had been waiting in complete silence. Invisible to the alien sensors, Dr. Thompson was coordinating the final attack from his hidden facility. His quantum communication network connected every human weapon in the solar system. When he gave the signal, they would all fire at exactly the same moment. All stations, final weapons check. Report status. The responses came back immediately. Moon Base Alpha. All railguns ready. Mars Station. Railguns charged. Asteroid Mining Platform 7. Antimatter charges armed. Cloaked Fleet. All ships ready for attack. Lieutenant Colonel Parker was making final adjustments to his targeting. Computer on Mars. The tungsten projectiles were loaded and ready. Each one would hit the alien ships at 30% of light speed. Targeting solution locked on the command ship, he reported. First shot will penetrate their bridge. Second shot will destroy their engines. Admiral Blake was watching the countdown timer. 5 minutes to attack. All stations, prepare for synchronized assault. On the alien command ship, Admiral Krickstow was growing impatient. The humans still hadn't responded to his final warning. This was unusual. Most worlds either surrendered immediately or at least tried to negotiate. No response from the planet? He asked. Nothing, Admiral. Complete radio silence. Krickstow thought about this. Perhaps they're too primitive to understand. Or maybe they're preparing to surrender and don't know how to respond. His weapons officer was standing ready. All ships report plasma cannons charged and ready. We can begin bombardment on your command. Good. In 3 minutes, we'll start with their largest city. That should get their attention. What Admiral Krickstow didn't know was that his ship was already in the crosshairs of dozens of human weapons. The tungsten projectiles from Mars were aimed at his bridge. The quantum disruptors from the cloaked ships were locked onto his engines. The antimatter satellites were positioned to destroy his entire vessel dot in the command center. Admiral Blake was watching the final seconds tick down. 2 minutes to attack. All stations, arm all weapons. This is for Earth. Dr. Grant was monitoring the alien communications. They're about to start bombing our cities. We need to attack now. Agreed, Admiral Blake said. All stations, begin final countdown. Attack in 60 seconds. On the moon, Captain Foster was gripping her command chair. Her crew was ready. The alien ships had no idea what was about to happen to them. 30 seconds to attack, she announced. Remember, we decloak and fire simultaneously. No alien ship survives this battle. Dr. Thompson was watching his master control panel. Every human weapon in the solar system was connected to his system. When he pressed the button, it would be the most coordinated attack in human history. 15 seconds to attack. All stations, final confirmation. Moon base ready. Mars station ready. Cloaked fleet ready. Antimatter satellites ready. Admiral Blake was watching the tactical display. The alien ships were perfectly positioned. They were confident and relaxed. They had no idea they were about to be destroyed. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Attack. Dr. Thompson pressed the button that would change human history forever. In that instant, everything happened at once. The 12 cloaked ships around Earth suddenly appeared as their cloaking fields dropped. Their quantum disruptors fired beams of pure energy that could tear apart matter at the atomic level. Captain Foster's ship fired first. Her quantum disruptors hit 3 alien vessels simultaneously. The enemy ships didn't just explode, they simply ceased to exist. One moment they were there, the next moment there was nothing but empty space. Direct hit, Lieutenant Miller shouted. 3 ships completely destroyed. All 12 cloaked ships were firing at once. The quantum disruptors were creating holes. In reality itself, alien ships were being erased from existence faster than their crews could understand what was happening. From Mars, Lieutenant Colonel Parker fired his railguns. The tungsten projectiles crossed the distance to Earth in seconds. They hit the alien command ship with the force of nuclear weapons. Direct hit on the command ship, he reported, penetrating their bridge. On the alien command ship, Admiral Krickstow was thrown to the floor as his vessel shook violently. Sparks flew from control panels. The lights went out. Emergency alarms started screaming. What's happening? He shouted. His tactical officer was staring at his instruments in shock. Admiral, we're under attack. Unknown weapons are destroying the fleet. Impossible. These humans have no advanced technology. But even as he spoke, Kriegstahl could see alien ships disappearing from his tactical display. Not just destroyed, completely gone. It was as if they had never existed. The antimatter satellites around Earth are firing their warheads. Each explosion created a small sun that vaporized everything within miles. Dozens of alien ships were caught in the blasts. From the asteroid belt, the disguised mining platforms were firing their own weapons. Gravitational wave generators were creating artificial gravity wells that crushed alien ships like tin cans. The lunar rail guns were firing continuously. Tungsten projectiles were punching through alien shields as if they were made of paper. The enemy ships had no defense against weapons that moved at such incredible speeds in less than 1 minute. Over 200 alien ships had been destroyed. The survivors were trying to retreat, but they were trapped in Earth's gravity well. They couldn't escape fast enough. Admiral Blake was watching the tactical display with satisfaction. Continue firing. Don't let any of them escape. Captain Foster's ship was moving through the alien formation like a shark through fish. Her quantum disruptors were erasing ship after ship. Her antimatter torpedoes were creating explosions that could be seen from Earth. 17 ships destroyed and counting. Lieutenant Miller reported, "These aliens have no idea what they're fighting." The alien fleet was falling apart. Ships were exploding all around them. Their weapons couldn't even target the human vessels. The cloaked ships were moving too fast and using technology the aliens couldn't understand. Admiral Kriegstahl was realizing the truth. The humans weren't primitive at all. They were far more advanced than his empire. They had been hiding their true capabilities. All ships retreat. He screamed into his communicator. Emergency jump to hyperspace, but it was too late. The human attack was devastating and coordinated. In 4 minutes and 37 seconds, the entire Zephyrian Imperial fleet was destroyed. Only one ship remained, Admiral Kriegstahl's command vessel, and it was badly damaged. The battle was over. Earth had won. Admiral Kriegstahl stood on his damaged bridge, staring at the tactical display in complete shock. Where moments before there had been 500 proud warships of the Zephyrian Empire, now there was only empty space filled with debris and radiation. His ship was the only one left. The bridge was dark, except for emergency lighting. Sparks flew from broken control panels. The smell of burning circuits filled the air. Half his crew was dead or injured. "Status report," he said weakly. His surviving tactical officer looked up. From his damaged console, "Admiral, the entire fleet is gone. All ships destroyed. We have massive hull damage. Life support is failing. Weapons are offline." Kriegstahl couldn't believe it. In his long career, he had never seen such devastating firepower. The human weapons didn't just destroy ships, they made them disappear completely. He had never encountered technology like this. How long did the battle last? He asked. 4 minutes and 37 seconds, Admiral. 4 minutes. An entire Imperial fleet destroyed in 4 minutes. It was impossible, but the evidence was all around him. The humans had been hiding their true capabilities. They weren't primitive. At all. In the command center on Earth, Admiral Blake was watching the final moments of the battle. The alien debris was scattered across a huge area of space. Only one ship remained, the command vessel. "All stations, cease fire," she ordered. "Target the surviving ship, but do not destroy it. We need to send a message." President Carter was standing next to her, amazed by what she had just witnessed. "In 4 minutes, we destroyed their entire fleet?" "Yes, Madam President. Our weapons worked exactly as planned. The aliens never had a chance." Dr. Grant was analyzing the battle data. "Their technology is exactly what we expected. Plasma weapons, energy shields, conventional propulsion. They developed along predictable lines. We took a different path. Admiral. Blake nodded. While they were perfecting bigger ships and more firepower, we were developing quantum weapons and exotic matter manipulation. They can't defend against weapons that work at the atomic level. On the moon, Captain Foster was surveying the battlefield. Her ship had personally destroyed 17 alien vessels. The quantum disruptors had worked perfectly. The enemy ships had simply ceased to exist. Captain, Lieutenant Miller said, we're receiving new orders. We're to escort the surviving alien ship to the edge of the solar system. Understood. But first, let's make sure they know who won this battle. Captain Foster opened a communication channel to the alien command ship. Alien vessel, this is Captain Foster of the Earth Defense Force. You are defeated. Your fleet is destroyed. Prepare to receive a message from our leadership. In the White House Situation Room, President Carter was preparing for the most important speech of her life. This message would be sent to an alien empire. It would announce humanity's presence to the galaxy. Are you ready, Madam President? Admiral Blake asked. As ready as anyone can be for this, President Carter replied. Open the channel. The communication link was established. President Carter could see the alien admiral on her screen. He looked shocked and defeated. His uniform was torn and dirty. His ship was clearly damaged. I am President Carter of the United Earth Government, she began. You came to our world expecting to find a primitive civilization. You thought we would be easy to conquer. You were wrong. Admiral Krickstahl listened to the translation with growing understanding. These humans had been preparing for this moment. They had hidden their true capabilities and allowed his fleet to walk into a trap. Your empire made a mistake, President Carter continued. You attacked a world you didn't understand. We could have destroyed your entire fleet before you entered. Our solar system. What you witnessed was merely a demonstration of our defensive capabilities. General Cross stepped forward. Your weapons and technology are primitive compared to ours. While your empire focused on conventional warfare, we developed quantum manipulation, antimatter weapons, and gravitational control. You cannot defeat us, Dr. Grant added her own message. We have been watching your empire for decades. We know your tactics, your technology, your weaknesses. You are not as advanced as you think you are. Admiral Krickstahl found his voice. How is this possible? Our scouts reported that your world had only basic technology. Chemical rockets, simple satellites. President Carter smiled slightly. That's what we wanted you to think. We've been hiding our true capabilities for over 70 years. Every piece of primitive technology you observed was carefully designed to make you underestimate us. But why? Krickstahl asked. Why hide your power? Because we knew that someday someone like you would come, Admiral Blake replied. We prepared for this day. We built weapons that could destroy any enemy foolish enough to threaten our world. On his damaged bridge, Admiral Krickstahl was beginning to understand. The humans hadn't just defeated his fleet, they had completely outmaneuvered his entire empire. They had made the Zephyrians believe, Earth weak and defenseless. What do you want from me? He asked. President Carter's expression became serious. You will return to your empire. You will tell them exactly what happened here. You will explain that Earth is under the protection of humanity, and we are far from primitive. You will tell them, General Cross added, that any future attacks on Earth or human colonies will be met with complete destruction. We have weapons positioned throughout this solar system. We can destroy any fleet, anytime. Admiral Krickstahl looked at his tactical display one more time. The debris from his once mighty fleet was still floating in space. 500 ships destroyed in less than 5 minutes. The humans weren't just advanced, they were terrifyingly efficient. I understand, he said quietly. But my ship is badly damaged. I'm not sure we can make it back to Imperial space. We'll help you with that, Admiral Blake said. Captain Miller, escort the alien ship to the edge of our solar system. Make sure they have enough power to reach their territory. Captain Dan Miller was commanding the stealth ship Silent Thunder. He had been watching the battle from a safe distance. Now he would have the honor of escorting the defeated enemy away from Earth. Understood, Admiral. Moving to escort position. Now, the Silent Thunder appeared next to the alien command ship. It was sleek and black, almost invisible against the stars. To Admiral Kriegstahl, it looked like a ship from a nightmare. Alien vessel, this is Captain Miller. We will escort you to the edge of our solar system. Follow our course exactly. Any deviation will be considered an act of war. As the two ships began their journey toward the outer planets, Admiral Kriegstahl sent a message to his surviving crew. Prepare a full report of everything that happened here. The Empire must know the truth about these humans. His communications. Officer was working at a damaged console. Admiral, I'm detecting other alien fleets throughout the galaxy. They're all changing course away from Earth. What do you mean? It appears that news of our defeat is already spreading. Other empires are avoiding this solar system. Back on Earth, Dr. Thompson was monitoring galactic communications. His advanced listening hosts were picking up alien transmissions from across the galaxy. The news was spreading faster than he had expected. Admiral Blake, he reported, we're detecting emergency transmissions from over 20 different alien civilizations. They're all talking about what happened here. What are they saying? They're calling Earth a death world. They're warning each other to stay away from human space. Some are calling us the Quantum Warriors because of our weapons. Admiral Blake was pleased. Good, let them spread the word. The more they fear us, the safer Earth will be. President Carter was watching the escort mission on the main screen. The alien ship was limping toward the edge of the solar system, heavily damaged, but still functional. In a few hours, it would be gone. Do you think they'll be back? She asked. Not for a very long time, Admiral Blake replied. They know now that we're not an easy target. Word will spread to other empires. They'll think twice before coming here. As the alien ship reached the outer edge of the solar system, Captain Miller sent his final message. You are now leaving human space. Remember what you've seen here. Remember what happens to those who threaten Earth. Admiral Kriegstahl looked back at the blue planet one last time. It looked so peaceful and innocent, but he knew the truth now. Hidden beneath that beautiful surface was a civilization capable of destroying entire fleets in minutes. Engage hyperspace drive, he ordered. Take us home. The damaged alien ship disappeared into hyperspace, carrying its message of defeat back to the Zephyrian Empire. Admiral Kriegstahl would spend the rest of his life trying to warn other civilizations about the dangerous humans of Earth. On Earth, the victory celebration was quiet and professional. The world's leaders knew that this battle was just the beginning. They had announced their presence to the galaxy. Now they had to be ready for whatever came next. Admiral Blake stood in the command center, looking out at the stars. Today, humanity took its first step onto the galactic stage. We've shown the galaxy that Earth is not helpless. We're not primitive. We're not afraid. President Carter nodded. And now they know that if they come to our world looking for conquest, they'll find something much more dangerous than they expected. In the hidden facilities around the solar system, human crews were already preparing for the next threat. Captain Jake Morrison looked out at the stars through the bridge windows of the U.E.'s horizon. The ship had been traveling for 3 months to reach the Kepler 442 system. Jake was tired but excited. His crew was searching for new worlds where humans could live and build cities. Captain, we're getting some interesting readings from the third planet, said Lieutenant Amy Foster. She was the ship's science officer and had been studying the planet for 2 days. The air is good for humans to breathe. There's water everywhere, and the weather looks perfect. Jake walked over to Amy's station. The screen showed a beautiful blue and green world. White clouds moved slowly across the surface. It looked almost exactly like Earth, but with no cities or lights on the dark side. Any signs of life? Jake asked. Lots of plants and animals, but nothing that looks smart, Amy replied. I've scanned the whole planet 3 times. No cities, no technology, no radio signals. It's like a perfect Earth that nobody lives on. Jake smiled. This was what Earth needed. Back home, there were too many people, and not enough space. The oceans were getting dirty, and the air in the big cities was hard to breathe. New worlds, like this one, could save humanity. Send a message to Earth. Jake told his communications officer, Lieutenant Ben Carter. Tell them we found paradise. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Lisa Carter sat in her office at the Colonial Development Authority. She was Jake's older sister, but she tried not to think about that when she read his reports. Her job was to find new homes for humans, and she was very good at it. The message from Jake made her heart race. A perfect world with no intelligent life meant humans could move there without problems. She immediately called President Nancy Wells. We need to move fast, Lisa told the president. If this planet is as good as Jake says, we can start moving people there in 6 months. President Wells agreed. Within hours, the government began preparing the colony ships. The UES New Beginning was chosen to carry the first 50,000 colonists. Families all over Earth started, selling their homes and belongings to buy tickets to the new world. But something was watching from the darkness of space, far beyond human sensors. Alien ships waited in the cold void. They belonged to the Galactic Council, a group of advanced alien races that controlled this part of the galaxy. The Council had been watching humans for 50 years, ever since Earth first sent ships to other star systems. Ambassador Zethkar of the Veltar hegemony stood in the council chambers. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. His people had controlled space trade for thousands of years, and they did not like competition. The humans have found Kepler 442c, Zethkar told the other council members. They plan to colonize it. The council chamber was filled with beings from dozens of different worlds. Some looked like giant insects, others like walking trees, and some were just clouds of gas in metal suits. But they all shared one thing in common. They did not want humans spreading through the galaxy. We must stop them, said War Commander Dexmore of the Kilifan Empire. His species looked like armored lizards and loved to fight. Humans are dangerous. They reproduce too fast, and they fight too much. Zethkar nodded. I have prepared evidence that Kepler 442c is a sacred world. The Zephyrians used it as a burial ground before they went extinct. According to council law, no one can colonize sacred worlds. The evidence was completely false. The Zephyrians had never even visited that system, but the council members did not care. They voted unanimously to ban human colonization of the planet. Should we tell the humans about this law? Asked a young council member. No, Zethkar replied with a cold smile. Let them come. When they arrive, we will destroy them for breaking our laws. It will teach all humans to stay in their own system. Back on Earth, Dr. Amy Foster was working late in her laboratory. She was not related to the Amy Foster on Jake's ship. It was just a coincidence that they had the same name. This Amy was a xenobiologist who studied alien life forms. Her deep space monitoring equipment had been picking up strange signals for weeks. The signals were clearly artificial. They had patterns that only intelligent beings could make. But they were coming from the direction of the Kepler 442 system. Amy tried to tell her superiors about the signals, but they were too busy preparing for the colonization mission. "You're probably just picking up interference from our own ships," her boss told her. "Don't worry about it." But Amy was worried. The signals were getting stronger, and they were definitely not human. She decided to keep monitoring them on her own time. On the UES horizon, Jake Morrison was preparing to return to Earth. His job was done. The planet had been surveyed and marked as safe for human colonization. He had no idea that alien eyes were watching his every move. "Captain, should we leave a monitoring station in orbit?" asked Lieutenant Amy Foster. Jake thought about it. "No, we need to get back to Earth quickly. The sooner we report, the sooner people can start new lives here." The U's horizon left the system, heading back toward Earth. Behind them, the beautiful planet waited in silence. It truly was perfect for human life. But the aliens watching from the darkness had other plans. As Jake's ship traveled through hyperspace, Zethkar was already putting his plan into motion. Council warships began moving toward Kepler 442c. They would wait there, hidden from human sensors, until the colony ships arrived. The trap was set. 50,000 innocent humans were about to walk into the deadliest deception in human history. The UES New Beginning was the largest ship humanity had ever built. It was 3 miles long and carried 50,000 people who had given up everything for a chance at a new life. Captain Rick Barnes stood on the bridge, watching the beautiful planet grow larger on the screen. 6 months of travel, and we're finally here, he said to his crew. Let's make history. In the passenger sections, families were getting ready for their new lives. Engineer Paul Watson packed his tools and blueprints. He planned to build the first power station on the new world. His wife Susan was teaching their 2 children about the plants and animals they would see. Teacher Mary Collins was looking forward to starting the first school on the planet. She had boxes full of books and supplies. Her students would be the first human children to grow up under an alien sun. "Attention all passengers," Captain Barnes announced over the ship's speakers. "We are beginning our approach to New Eden. Please prepare for landing procedures." The colonists cheered. After months in the cramped ship, they were ready to breathe fresh air and feel real dirt under their feet. They pressed against the windows, trying to get their first look at their new home. But they were not alone in the system. Hidden behind New Eden's 3 moons, the Galactic Council's war fleet waited. War Commander Thex Moore stood in the command center of his flagship, the Devastator. His lizard-like face showed no emotion as he watched the human ship approach. "The humans are following the same path as always," reported his tactical officer. "They are not scanning for threats. They think they are safe." Dexmore had destroyed many civilizations in his career. He had burned entire worlds and killed billions of beings. But he had never fought humans before. He had heard stories about their violence, but he thought they were exaggerated. "All ships, prepare for attack," he ordered. "We will destroy them quickly and completely. No survivors." On the New Beginning, Captain Barnes was feeling proud. His ship was about to deliver 50,000 people to safety. He had no idea that death was watching from the darkness. "Captain, I'm getting some strange readings," said Lieutenant Kate Lewis, the communications officer. "There's something behind the 3rd moon, but I can't tell what it is." Barnes looked at the readings. Probably just interference from the moons. Magnetic field. Nothing to worry about. Kate was not convinced. She had been a communications officer for 10 years, and she knew the difference between interference and something real. She kept scanning, trying to get a better look at whatever was hiding behind the moon. Suddenly, her screen exploded with contacts. Dozens of large objects were moving out from behind the moons. They were clearly artificial, and they were heading straight for the New Beginning. "Captain!" Kate shouted. "We have multiple contacts approaching fast. They're not human ships. Barnes spun around to look at her screen. His face went pale. The objects were huge, much larger than any human ship, and they were clearly built for war. Red alert, Barnes ordered. All hands to battle stations, but it was too late. The New Beginning was a colony ship, not a warship. It had no weapons and very weak shields. It was designed to carry families safely through space, not to fight. The Council fleet opened fire without any warning. Energy beams and missiles struck the New Beginning from every direction. The ship's shields failed in seconds. The hull began to crack and tear. "Shields down," reported the tactical officer. "We're taking heavy damage on all decks." Barnes grabbed the ship's microphone. "All hands, abandon ship. This is not a drill. Get to the escape pods now." Throughout the ship, alarms were screaming. Families ran through the corridors, carrying their children and trying to reach the escape pods. Paul Watson helped his wife and children into Pod 47, then kissed them goodbye. "I'll be right behind you." He lied. He knew someone had to stay and help others escape. Mary Collins was helping children into Pod 52 when the ship shook violently. The lights went out, and she could hear the sound of tearing metal. She pushed the last child into the pod and closed the door. But there was no room for her. Captain Barnes stayed on the bridge, trying to launch as many pods as possible. He watched his beautiful ship falling apart around him. Through the windows, he could see the alien ships. They were dark and angular, like they were built for killing. "Pod 23 away," reported Kate Lewis. "Pod 24 away. Pod 25 is damaged and won't launch." Barnes hit the manual release for Pod 25. It shot out of the ship just as that section exploded. He hoped the people inside would survive. The New Beginning broke in half. The front section, where Barnes and his crew were, spun away from the rest of the ship. Through the windows, Barnes could see the escape pods scattered across space like seeds in the wind. For a moment, he felt hope. Maybe some of his people would survive. Maybe they would reach the planet and tell Earth what had happened. Then he saw the alien ships turning toward the escape pods. "No," Barnes whispered. "They're civilians. They're not soldiers." But War Commander Dex Moore did not care. His orders were clear. No survivors. A Council fleet began hunting down the escape pods one by one. Each pod was destroyed with a single shot. Pod 47, carrying Paul Watson's family, was vaporized in a flash of light. Pod 52, with Mary Collins and the children, exploded in silence. One by one, the pods were destroyed. On the planet's surface, Commander Steve Grant and his advance team watched the horror through their telescopes. They had landed 3 days earlier to prepare landing sites for the colonists. Now they were watching 50,000 people die in space. "Get a message to Earth," Grant ordered his communications officer. "Tell them what happened. Tell them we're all going to die." The message was sent just as the orbital bombardment began. The alien ships fired down at the planet, turning the surface into glass. Commander Grant and his team were vaporized instantly, but one person survived. Communications officer Kate Lewis had been thrown from the bridge when the ship exploded. She fell toward the planet in a damaged escape pod, unconscious and bleeding. Her pod crashed in a deep canyon and protected it from the orbital bombardment. When she woke up, she was alone on a dead world. Everything was burned and lifeless. Kate activated her emergency beacon and began recording her final message to Earth. She was dying from her injuries, but she had to tell humanity what had happened. "This is Kate Lewis of the UES New Beginning," she said into the recorder. "We were attacked without warning by alien ships. They killed everyone. 50,000 people. Children, families, teachers, workers. All dead." She looked up at the sky where the alien ships were still circling like vultures. "They murdered us all," she whispered. "And they're going to do it again unless someone stops them." A message reached Earth 3 days later. When the government received it, everything changed. The age of peaceful exploration was over. The age of war had begun. President Nancy Wells sat in the White House Situation Room, staring at the screen with tears in her eyes. The recording from Kate Lewis played for the third time. The dying woman's voice was weak but clear as she described the murder of 50,000 innocent people. "They came without warning," Kate's voice said through the speakers. "No communication, no demands, no mercy. They just killed everyone." General Frank Powell slammed his fist on the table. "We have to respond. We can't let this stand." "With what?" asked Admiral Lisa Carter. "Our fleet is mostly exploration ships and light patrol vessels. We don't have warships that can fight whatever destroyed the new beginning." The room fell silent. Everyone knew she was right. Humanity had built its space fleet for peaceful purposes. The biggest weapons they had were mining lasers and construction tools. "There has to be something," President Wells said quietly. "Some way to fight back." Dr. Helen Cruz, the head of the Historical Archives Division, had been quiet during the meeting. Now she stood up slowly, her face pale. "There is something," she said, "but it's classified at the highest levels. I need permission to access files." "From the early space program." President Wells nodded. "You have it. Whatever we need to know, tell us." Helen walked to the secure computer terminal and entered her access codes. Ancient files began appearing on the screen. Files that had been sealed for over a century. "When humanity first went to space, we were not as peaceful as we are now," Helen began. "The early space pioneers remembered Earth's history. They knew that space might be dangerous. So they built something in secret." The screen showed blueprints for massive warships. Ships designed not for exploration, but for destruction. "The primeval fleet," Helen continued. 200 warships built in secret bases throughout the outer solar system. They were designed for one purpose: to protect humanity from exactly what just happened. General Powell leaned forward. "Where are these ships now?" "Hidden in asteroid bases, powered down and waiting." The project was classified after the first peaceful contact with the Centauri colonies. The government decided that warships sent the wrong message about humanity's intentions. "But they still exist?" "President?" Wells asked. Helen nodded. "The ships are still there, maintained by automated systems. But there's only one person who knows all the base locations." She brought up a personnel file. The picture showed an older man with gray hair and hard eyes. Admiral Tony Rodriguez. He was the fleet commander before the project was shut down. He's been retired for 20 years, but he's still alive. President Wells stood up. "Find him, bring him here, now." 2 hours later, Tony Rodriguez sat in the same chair where Helen had given her briefing. He was 70 years old, but he still looked like a soldier. His eyes were cold as he watched Kate Lewis's recording. "I told them this would happen," he said when the recording ended. "I told them that space was dangerous, that we needed to be ready to fight. They called me a warmonger." "The ships, Tony," President Wells said. "Do they still work?" Rodriguez smiled grimly. "They're not just ships, Madam President. They're weapons of war, built by humans who remembered what it took to survive on Earth. They're waiting for exactly this moment. How long to get them operational? The ships can be powered up in hours. But we'll need crews. And these aren't exploration vessels. They're built for killing." General Powell stepped forward. "We'll find volunteers. After what happened to the new beginning, every person in the military will want to fight." "It won't be easy," Rodriguez warned. "The primeval fleet was built using technology that your current military would consider illegal. weapons that can crack planets, AI systems that can think faster than any human, ships that can repair themselves in battle. President Wells looked around the room. What choice do we have? We can't let them murder our people and do nothing. Rodriguez stood up. Then we go to war. Real war. Not the kind where we try to minimize casualties or follow rules. The kind where we destroy our enemies completely so they can never hurt us again. Within hours, the secret bases began powering up. In the asteroid belt, massive doors opened. In what looked like ordinary rocks. Inside, the ships of the primeval fleet awakened from their long sleep. The flagship was the U.E.'s Vengeance, a massive dreadnought 3 times the size of the New Beginning. Its hull was black as space, and its weapons could destroy entire fleets. Commander Greg Turner, a veteran of the Mars colonies, took command. "This is not a rescue mission," Rodriguez told the assembled crews over the communication system. "This is not a police action. This is war, total war. We're going to find whoever killed our people, and we're going to destroy them." The crews were all volunteers. Many had lost friends or family on the New Beginning. They came from every branch of the military, united by anger and the need for revenge. Dr. Linda Shaw activated the ship's AI systems. These were not the helpful, peaceful A is used on exploration ships. These were war machines, designed to find the best way to kill enemies as quickly as possible. Primary directive confirmed. The AI of the Vengeance announced. Protect humanity. Destroy all threats. No mercy. The AI began analyzing every piece of data about the attack. It studied the alien ships, their weapons, their tactics. Within minutes, it had developed 17 different ways to kill them. Captain Ben Foster took command of the destroyer UESS Retribution. His job was to find the alien fleet and learn everything about them. He had been an intelligence officer before joining the primeval fleet, and he knew how to hunt. "We're not the same humans who sent out exploration ships," he told his crew. "We're the humans who survived ice ages and plagues and wars. We're the humans who climbed to the top of the food chain on a planet that tried to kill us every day." The fleet began moving out of the solar system. 200 ships, each one designed to kill. They moved in perfect formation, like predators hunting in a pack. On Earth, the news of the attack had leaked to the public. Riots broke out in major cities. People demanded revenge for the murdered colonists. The peaceful era of space exploration was over. In the Galactic Council chambers, Ambassador Zeth Carr received reports of unusual activity in the human solar system. Energy readings suggested that humans were preparing something big. "They're probably building more colony ships," he told War Commander Lexmore. "Humans are too stupid to understand they've been defeated." Lexmore was not so sure. His ships had captured some human technology during the attack on the New Beginning. The humans were more advanced than the Council had thought. "Maybe we should send a message to their government," he suggested. "Tell them to stay in their own system or face destruction." Zeth Carr laughed. "Why? They have no weapons that can hurt us. Let them come. We'll destroy them like we destroyed the others." But in the darkness of space, the primeval fleet was already moving. 150 years of human anger and fear had been poured into these ships. They carried the fury of a species that had fought its way to the top of the food chain. The aliens had awakened something that had been sleeping. Now it was coming for them, and nothing in the galaxy would be able to stop it. The asteroid belt had kept humanity's deadliest secret for over a century. Hidden inside hollowed-out rocks, the primeval fleet waited in the cold darkness. These were not the peaceful ships that explored the galaxy. These were instruments of war, built by humans who remembered what it took to survive. Commander Greg Turner stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance, watching his crew prepare for battle. The ship was massive, bigger than any human vessel ever built. Its hull was black, as the space around it, and its weapons could turn entire worlds into dust. "All systems online, Commander," reported Lieutenant Sam Parker, the weapons officer. "The main guns are charged and ready." Turner nodded. The main guns were not like anything the current human military used. They fired concentrated energy beams that could cut through the strongest alien armor. Each shot carried enough power to destroy a city. "Communications, connect me to the fleet," Turner ordered. The face of Admiral Tony Rodriguez appeared on the screen. He was aboard the UES Devastator, another massive warship. Around him, the bridges of 200 ships glowed with combat lighting. "All ships report ready for hyperspace jump," Rodriguez announced. "We have the location of the alien fleet from our intelligence division. They're waiting in the Kepler 442 system, probably expecting more colony ships." Turner felt a cold smile cross his face. The aliens had no idea what was coming for them. The ships had been built using technology that Earth's current government would never approve. The AI systems were designed to think like predators, constantly searching for the best way to kill enemies. The weapons were built to cause maximum destruction. The hulls were designed to repair themselves during battle. Dr. Linda Shaw had created the AI systems during the early days of space exploration. She had been a young scientist then, fresh from studying Earth's deadliest predators. She had given the ships the instincts of sharks and the intelligence of humans. "Aria Online," the ship's AI announced. Aria stood for Adaptive Response Intelligence. Agent, but the crew called her something else, the Angel of Death. Aria, analyze the alien ships from the New Beginning attack, Turner ordered. The AI's voice was calm and emotionless. Analysis complete. Enemy ships are larger than human vessels, but use predictable tactics. They rely on overwhelming firepower rather than strategy. Weakness identified. They do not expect resistance. Turner looked at the tactical display. The alien ships were built like hammers, big, strong, and designed to smash weaker opponents. But they had never faced humans who were ready to fight back. Captain Ben Foster commanded the UES Retribution, a destroyer built for speed and stealth. His job was to scout ahead and gather intelligence about the enemy. He had been watching the alien fleet for 2 days, hidden behind a moon. "They're not even trying to hide," he reported to the fleet. 47 ships in standard formation. "They think they're safe." The alien fleet was indeed confident. War Commander Thexmore sat in his command chair, bored. His ships had been waiting for weeks, hoping more human ships would arrive so they could destroy them. "Commander, we're detecting some kind of disturbance in hyperspace," reported his sensor officer. "Multiple contacts approaching." Thexmore leaned forward. "How many?" Scanning. "Commander, this doesn't make sense. I'm reading over 200. Contacts, all large, all moving in formation." Thexmore stood up quickly. Humans didn't have 200 large ships. They barely had 20 ships in their entire fleet. "Sound general quarters," he ordered. "All ships to battle stations." The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace like a pack of wolves. They appeared in perfect formation, surrounding the alien ships. The U's Vengeance took the center position, its massive guns already charging. "This is Admiral Rodriguez of the United Earth Space Fleet," came the broadcast to all alien ships. "You murdered 50,000 innocent people. You destroyed families, children, teachers, workers. You thought we were weak and helpless." The alien ships began moving into attack formation, but they were slow and clumsy compared to the human vessels. "You were wrong," Rodriguez continued. "You awakened something that should have stayed sleeping. Now you're going to pay for what you did." Thexmore tried to respond, but the human ships opened fire before he could speak. The space around New Eden erupted in violence. The human weapons were unlike anything the aliens had seen. Instead of simple energy beams, they fired adaptive munitions that changed their attack pattern based on the target's defenses. The AI systems coordinated the attack, making sure every shot counted. The U's Vengeance fired its main guns at the alien flagship. The beams cut through the ship's shields like they were paper. The hull began to crack and burn. Impossible. Dexmore shouted. How do they have weapons like this? His tactical officer was frantically working at his console. Sir, their ships are using technology we've never seen. The weapons adapt to our defenses. The ships are repairing damage faster than we can cause it. The human destroyers moved like dancers, dodging alien fire while unleashing their own weapons. The UES Retribution destroyed 3 alien cruisers in the first minute of battle, but the humans' most terrifying weapon was still to come. Release the hunters, Admiral Rodriguez ordered. From the bellies of the human ships, thousands of small objects launched into space. They looked like metal insects, each one about the size of a car. These were the hunter-killer drones, AI-controlled weapons that could think and learn. The drones swarmed toward the alien ships like angry bees. When the aliens shot one down, the others learned from its death and became harder to kill. When they found a weakness in an alien ship, they all attacked the same spot. They're everywhere, screamed an alien pilot. I can't shake them. The drones were not just weapons. They were evolution in action. Each one that died made the others stronger. They adapted to alien tactics in real time, becoming more deadly with each passing second. War Commander Dexmore watched his fleet being torn apart. In 10 minutes, he had lost half his ships. The humans were not just winning. They were destroying everything with terrifying efficiency. Send a surrender signal, he ordered. Sir? His communications officer asked, shocked. Send it now, Dexmore shouted, before they kill us all. But the humans were not interested in surrender. They had come for revenge, and they were going to get it. The UES Vengeance fired its final shot at the alien flagship. The beam cut the ship in half, and Dexmore died in the explosion. The war commander who had killed 50,000 humans was gone in a flash of light. When the battle was over, the alien fleet was completely destroyed. Not a single ship escaped. The space around New Eden was filled with floating wreckage and the bodies of aliens who had thought humans were weak. Admiral Rodriguez stood on his bridge, looking at the destruction. His fleet had not lost a single ship. The aliens had been completely outmatched. Arya, scan for any survivors, he ordered. No alien life signs detected, the AI replied. All enemy vessels destroyed. Mission parameters achieved. Rodriguez felt no satisfaction in the victory. The aliens were dead, but the 50,000 humans were still gone. Nothing could bring them back. Set course for the Galactic Council. Homeworld, he ordered. We're not finished yet. The primeval fleet began moving deeper into alien space. They had awakened from their long sleep, and now they were hunting. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when humans were pushed too far. The Galactic Council homeworld had never seen war. For 10,000 years, it had been the center of a peaceful empire that controlled hundreds of star systems. The planet was covered in beautiful cities and parks, where aliens from different worlds lived together in harmony. That peace was about to end. The primeval fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system like a storm made of metal and fire. 200 human warships appeared in perfect formation, their black holes reflecting the light of the alien sun. Supreme Chancellor Colfax stood in the council chambers, staring at the tactical display in disbelief. The humans had traveled across the galaxy to reach them. Their ships were larger and more advanced than anything in the Council's records. How is this possible? He asked Ambassador Zethkar. You said the humans were primitive. You said they had no warships. Zethkar's gray skin had turned pale. They didn't. Our intelligence was perfect. They only had exploration ships and civilian vessels. Then what are those? Kolthak pointed at the screen, where the human fleet was taking position around the planet. Before Zethkar could answer, a transmission came through on all council frequencies. The face of Admiral Tony Rodriguez appeared on every screen in the system. "Citizens of the Galactic Council," Rodriguez said, his voice cold and hard. "I am Admiral Rodriguez of the United Earth Space Fleet. Your military forces murdered 50,000 innocent humans. Men, women, and children who had done nothing wrong." In the council chambers, panic began to spread. Many of the council members had never seen a human before. They looked at Rodriguez's weathered face and saw something that terrified them. Absolute determination. "We demand the immediate surrender of all council military forces," Rodriguez continued. "We want the beings responsible for the massacre to be handed over for justice. You have 1 hour to comply." Kolthak activated the response system. "Admiral Rodriguez, I am Supreme Chancellor Kolthak. Perhaps we can discuss the situation calmly. There must be some misunderstanding." Rodriguez's expression did not change. "The only misunderstanding was yours. You thought we were weak. You thought we would accept the murder of our people and do nothing. You were wrong." "But surely we can reach some kind of agreement," Kolthak pleaded. "The Council has always been committed to peace." "Your commitment to peace didn't stop you from killing 50,000 humans," Rodriguez replied. "Your hour starts now." The transmission ended, leaving the council in chaos. Representatives from dozens of worlds argued and shouted, trying to decide what to do. Some wanted to fight, others wanted to surrender, and most were simply afraid. The council's military fleet was the largest in the galaxy. 500 ships protected the homeworld, including massive dreadnoughts that had never been defeated. Admiral Kekstar, the council's military commander, was confident they could defeat the humans. "We outnumber them more than 2 to 1, he told the council. "And our ships are the most advanced in the galaxy. These primitive humans don't stand a chance." But Admiral Kekstar had not seen the recordings of the battle at New Eden. He did not know what the primeval fleet could do. Commander Greg Turner stood on the bridge of the UE's Vengeance, watching the alien fleet move into position. The council ships were beautiful, sleek and silver, with elegant curves and graceful lines. They looked like works of art. "They're going to fight," reported Lieutenant Sam Parker. "All council ships are powering weapons and moving to attack." "Formation," Turner nodded. He had hoped they would surrender, but he was not surprised they wanted to fight. Most species did not understand how dangerous humans could be until it was too late. "Signal the fleet," he ordered. "Execute battle plan. Alpha. Show them what humans are really like." The hour passed with no surrender from the council. Rodriguez gave the order to attack. The human fleet moved like a school of deadly fish, each ship coordinated with all the others. The AI systems shared information instantly, creating a perfect tactical network. When one ship found a weakness, all the others knew about it immediately. The council fleet attacked in the traditional way, massive formations of ships firing at long range. It was the kind of battle they had fought for centuries, slow and formal like a dance. The humans fought like wild animals. The UEC Vengeance fired its main guns at the council flagship. The beams cut through the ship's shields and hull, causing massive explosions. The ship began to break apart, and Admiral Kekstar died in the first minute of battle. But the humans' most terrifying weapon was their adaptability. The council ships used energy shields that could stop most weapons. The human AI systems analyzed the shield frequency and adjusted their weapons to penetrate them. Within minutes, the council's main defense was useless. Our shields are failing across the fleet, reported a council officer. Their weapons are adapting to our defenses. The hunter-killer drones launched from the human ships like a plague of metal insects. They swarmed over the council vessels, learning from each attack and becoming deadlier with every passing second. Supreme Chancellor Kolfak watched the battle from his office in the council chambers. His fleet was being destroyed with terrifying efficiency. In 30 minutes, he had lost 200 ships. The humans had not lost a single vessel. Send the surrender signal, he ordered his communications officer. Sir, the military says they can still win, the officer replied nervously. Look at the screen, Kolfak shouted. We're being slaughtered. Send the surrender now. The transmission went out on all frequencies, but Admiral Rodriguez ignored it. The humans continued their attack, destroying council ships one by one. They were not interested in surrender. They wanted complete victory. Captain Ben Foster piloted the UES Retribution through the wreckage of the council fleet. His ship's weapons had destroyed 12 enemy vessels, and he was hunting for more. The alien ships were trying to retreat, but the human destroyers were faster. Target the engines, Foster ordered his weapons officer. Don't let any of them escape. The human fleet moved like a pack of wolves, surrounding their prey and cutting off all escape routes. The council ships that tried to flee were hunted down and destroyed. Those that tried to hide were found by the AI systems and eliminated. In the council chambers, Ambassador Zethkar was trying to escape through a secret passage when human soldiers found him. Commander Lisa Grant and her boarding team had landed on the planet while the space battle raged above. Ambassador Zethkar, Grant said, pointing her weapon at him. You're under arrest for war crimes against humanity. You can't do this, Zethkar protested. I have diplomatic immunity. That ended when you murdered our people, Grant replied coldly. Move. The humans had not just come to destroy the council fleet. They had come to capture the leaders responsible for the massacre. Special forces teams landed in cities across the planet, hunting down everyone who had voted to kill the colonists. Within 6 hours, the entire council fleet was destroyed. Not a single ship escaped. The human fleet took position in orbit around the planet, their weapons aimed at the surface. Admiral Rodriguez stood before the surviving council members in their own chambers. Many of the leaders were dead or captured, but those who remained sat in terrified silence. The Galactic Council is hereby dissolved, Rodriguez announced. Your military forces are destroyed. Your leaders are either dead or in custody. Your authority over this galaxy is ended. Supreme Chancellor Kolfak, now a prisoner in his own chambers, tried one last time to negotiate. Admiral, surely we can work out some kind of arrangement. The Council has resources, technology, trade agreements. Rodriguez turned to look at him. You had one chance to avoid this. When our colonists arrived at New Eden, you could have warned them away. You could have explained your laws. Instead, you chose to murder them without warning. We were protecting our territory, Kolfak said weakly. And we're protecting our species, Rodriguez replied. The difference is that we're better at it than you are. The human AI systems had already taken control of the Council's communication networks. Across the galaxy, the news was spreading. The Galactic Council had fallen. Humanity was now the dominant military power in this region of space. On New Eden, Captain Jake Morrison stood beside a memorial erected for the 50,000 murdered colonists. The planet was beautiful and peaceful again, but it would always be remembered as a graveyard. They're gone, he said to the memorial stone. All of them, but they didn't die for nothing. The galaxy knows now that humans are not victims. Admiral. Rodriguez joined him at the memorial. The old soldier looked tired, but satisfied. Do you think we did the right thing? Jake asked Doc Rodriguez was quiet for a long moment. They killed our people without warning, without mercy, without reason. They thought we were weak and helpless. We showed them they were wrong. And now? Now the galaxy knows that humanity can be peaceful, but we can also be deadly. Maybe that will prevent future massacres. Maybe other species will think twice before attacking human civilians. Above them, the primeval fleet maintained its orbit. The ships would stay there for a while, making sure the galaxy understood the new reality. Humanity had learned to explore space peacefully, but they had never forgotten how to fight Dot in the ruins of the council chambers. Arya analyzed the tactical data from the battle. I had learned valuable lessons about alien technology. And Ta